Segment of the show for today. We're talking to Pastor Kelvin Walker, the pastor of the Abundant Life Christian Center North in Nashville, Tennessee. And the topic is ex-offenders in Tennessee and second chance programs. Pastor Walker, let's see if we can pick up where we left off during the latter part of the first segment by having you to make a few statements in reference to how individuals who are judged and sentenced find themselves in the system and how they are classified. I mean, where do they generally go, and why do they generally go where they go?
Okay. I know before the break, Dr. Haney, you were saying, do they make that decision? Absolutely not. You know, once you incarcerate, you lose all decision-making abilities. I mean, you lose your freedom. So that means the freedom to decide where you're going to live, where you're going to stay, where you're going to spend your time, and everything. But I think there is, you know, like you have Riverbend maximum security prison. You know, so you got what they call the high side out there, you know, and on those, and I think that's where they send some of the most violent of the inmates in, people that's come in with murder charges, but not everybody with a murder charge, but some of the most violent inmates will go there. Some of the most unruly inmates, those that have a potential to create further trouble in the system. A lot of times they send them over there to the high side, which of course that's 23 hours a day in a cage that you're living in, and then you're coming out 1 hour for an exercise period, which is none other than going into another cage. It's open. It's just from one cage to another for an hour to exercise. So they do that, and you know, and they just throw you in wherever basically they want to throw you in. So in other words, you can be a non-violent offender and get and share a cell with somebody in there for murder. You know, so it's not like, okay, I'm a non-violent offender and they got this section over here for me. It's not like that.
Yeah, well, I thought maybe that there was some system that, you know, they tried to select those individuals who were responsible, for example, of writing bad checks, for example, from individuals who might be on what you have described as the high side. Why do you call it the high side?
Well, because that's high security. I mean, that's max. That's maximum security over there. And those are for the ones that they really, I mean, those are the people that in order to come out of their cells, they have to be handcuffed first and then come out. You know, those people have to, they get fed in the cells and they don't go into the dining room to eat, as opposed to the people on the other side in the prison at Riverbend that may be perhaps in Unit 5 or in Unit 6. And then on the high side, of course, you got Unit 2, which is death row over on that side as well. So that's what the high side is all about over there.
And that's how they classify folks when they get in the system itself. Whether they are people who are security risk in a real sense. But I would imagine everybody would be considered a security risk.
And then, of course, then the people, you know, and with the gang affiliations and stuff like that, you know, they call them, I don't know if they call them, it's something, S something. Their risk, they categorize them as some type of security risk or something like that. But those, you know, but that's how their system works. I don't know a whole lot about how they actually, what they actually do to classify them, because that's, of course, that's TDOC working, and you know, most people are not privy to that operation.
But now gangs are quite prevalent in the institutions. Is that what we're saying?
Well, yeah. People are still, you know, they're still involved with the gangs and stuff like that, which is, I mean, which is crazy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're incarcerated. You're incarcerated mainly because of your affiliation with the gangs in the first place, and then you get in the system, and then you're going to further that incarceration, I mean that involvement with the gangs while you're incarcerated. So what it says to the system is that you're really not trying to change. The signal that an individual involved in a gang inside the prison system is saying is that I really don't want to get out, because I'm showing you by my actions and by my behaviors while I'm incarcerated that, man, I'm not interested in changing. This is who I am. This is what I do. And basically what you're saying to the system is your best bet is to keep me locked up. You know, it's a sad thing, but it's a thought process that exists. Then at the same time, there are people that come in with that thought process that continue their affiliation with their gang after they are incarcerated, and then somewhere down the line, some brother in there that has been educated and rehabilitated himself may approach that individual and point out to them what they're doing, the destructive behavior that they're exhibiting, and then that person, the light may come on, and then that person will detach themselves from that, you know, and begin to work on themselves. So, and I say that because everybody that's in the prison that may have been a gang affiliated, may have gone into prison and continue that affiliation, but at some point point, they broke that affiliation and they're working on themselves. And those are individuals like that that have truly been rehabilitated and really deserve an opportunity to come back and return into free world society and function as a citizen.
You know, when you talk about going out in ex-offenders, which is to say that these are individuals who have, for whatever reason, served their time.
Right.
Now, let's talk about the parole system. I mean, an individual who might go in there and if he's going to be an ex-offender, he might not serve all of his term. And how often do they serve all of the term and accept, you know, some of that kind of
I think in most cases, people serve out their sentences. You know, there are different safety valve release dates and different things like that that you have when you're sentenced, that you are able to go before the parole board. Sometimes they'll parole you on that first experience before the parole board. We just experienced last year a gentleman that had been out there 22 years on a murder charge, and they brought him before the parole board first time up, you know, and he was paroled. And then I've seen others, you know, that they put off for 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 5 years, 6 years, stuff like that, you know. But, you know, but the thing is, once you go through the parole system inside the institution, and basically what you're doing in a lot of situations, just really going and rehashing the crime, your case all over again, and you're just going through it, and then they make a decision right then and there whether or not you are worthy, so to say, for release back into free world society. So once they deem you worthy to be released back into free world society, at that particular point, once you're released, you go from becoming an offender to becoming an ex-offender. But at the same time, Dr. Haney, they send you in the prison system for the purpose of punishment and rehabilitation. You've been punished while you're in the situation because of the incarceration, all the freedoms you lose, everything that you use, that's punishment. Then you start rehabilitating yourself, but then at the same time, when you release and you become this ex-offender, it's almost like the punishment kicks back in following your acts of rehabilitation while you're in there. And that right there in and of itself is what I deem to be unfair to the individual.
And as a matter of fact, as we end this second segment, Reverend Walker, when we come back, we want to talk about that because it seems that an individual who has served his or her time, and they come up before the parole board, and yet and still there seem to be other kinds of methods that are used to prolong their service. I mean, their imprisonment.
It's once a crook, always a crook, no matter what.
And I would imagine that has a tremendous impact upon what we call ex-offenders. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Thank you, and welcome back to the